Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us for our look back at Travel Leaders Edge. Today, we'll be going over a few topics that were a focus at the conference. Before we get started, if you have any questions, please go ahead and type them into the questions chat box, and we will get to them at the end of the webinar. Today, we're joined by Michael Garacci of Prestige Travel and our own Mike Duffy across Technologies. Take it away, gentlemen.
Well, I guess I'll start off just with a little intro of myself. I've been in the travel tech space for a little over 20 years. At Grasp, I oversee product and I help bring some offerings like the Grasp Pay and Grasp Hopper to life. I love talking tech and hearing what others are doing in the industry. And so I'm really thankful that Michael is here to join us and share some of his thoughts from the conference he just attended. So before we dive into the questions, maybe Michael, if you don't mind giving a little intro of yourself.
Sure. I've been a working agency owner and agent for about 35 years, and very, very high usage of technology wherever we can get it. Anything to make the agent's experience easier. Because the more time I can put them in front of a client's face, the better. Mm-hmm. So trying to stay ahead of technology, or at least in line with it, and using it to the best of our ability. And turns out a lot of it's coming from Grasp.
Well, that's a nice plug. I appreciate that.
Yep.
I find a lot of us are getting back to conferences now, and so it's great to hear what the learnings are and sort of networking and all that. And so really appreciate your thoughts and the trends that you may have observed at the conference. So I guess we'll start off around some of the key topics. Maybe let's start with technology. What did you see there, just sort of generally speaking?
That's one of the things I try to keep my eye out on. And what I was very happy to see is that a lot of the mid-office companies out there are answering the questions we have regarding scripting and macros and being able to automate that and move the programming from them as a service ticket to being able to do it in-house in the agency. Pretty much very simply, because it's just check boxes and drop-down menus and telling what you want your flow chart to do, and then it makes the entries in the GDS or wherever we want it to for us and streamlines it. And I can control it here now. I don't have to wait 24 hours for them to write a script or whatever it is.
Okay, so they've more or less given you the tools to sort of handle it yourself, sort of self-manage the rules, I guess.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I can write them. I can be sitting there in the middle of the night and think of something, and of course by the morning I've already forgotten it. But now I can plug it in, or if I'm sitting here during the day, I can plug it in to see if I can test it or get it to work, and it'll make it a lot easier.
Oh, that's very cool. Very cool. I was wondering, can you advise any sort of like perspectives on people might be saying on CO2 or sustainability? Is that a hot topic or not, or anything around that?
I think it's a hot topic. I think when you talk individually to some clients, which we did about 2 weeks ago, we had a seminar here in Cincinnati that we happened to be hosting. So we used some of our own clients as guinea pigs to meet with agency owners that had come to town for this meeting. And we brought in some of our road warrior travelers. And while they're cognizant of the sustainability issues, right now they're more concentrating with getting back in their client's face, person to person, meeting them.
Right.
So they really they want to do their part, but they feel the need to be in front of their clients. So flying is not going to stop them.
Right.
I'd say if you're in a 3-row car, this is probably in the middle to the back seat to them, even though they're aware of it.
Yeah. Okay. I like that sort of analogy there. So I guess that finding the flights and cars are probably more important than the sustainability at this point in time.
That is a challenge.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to be pretty creative on doing some workarounds to get the cars. Yes.
Right. Gotcha. What of anything on either booking or payment? Any sort of challenges around that, or any topics around that?
We have slowly been moving. It amazes me that all of a sudden companies want to pay for the hotels for their employees, but they don't want to give them a P card.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, we're finding ourselves doing more and more direct bills, and we automated wise we were able to generate a fax to the front desk and everything. But now we are slowly transitioning them to virtual cards because the faxes just aren't secure. And we have two major companies that do the fax route, and I would say 4 times a year we're getting a compromised card. And it's a big hassle to shut down a card. And first, to educate the client, your first call is not to the bank, it's to me. Let me know that you're going to shut that card down before you do it, because we got to start a routine in place right away. So thankfully, I just heard from Stacy today that one of our larger clients has been approved, their credit line's been approved. So we're going to put them on probably within the next week. And then I'm meeting with my last holdout next week to move them to virtual cards. I was doing a little programming in Concur last night, because when a hotel vendor will not accept our faxes, I block them in Concur, so that they don't sell the properties anymore. And so I was looking at the companies that are still using the fax machine, and I want to say I found probably 178 hotels that we had blocked. And then I went to the company that's using virtual cards very successfully. They have 5 that won't take the virtual card via fax. So that's going to cut that'll probably save me close to an FTE just in calling hotels when we get an error on delivering a fax or something. So by getting everybody onto the virtual cards, I think that's going to eliminate that problem.
Okay, good to hear on some time savings there. Good. Just thinking of some like non technical questions as well. I'm sure it was great to see everyone back face to face in person. Although in the industry, I'm sure there has been some that maybe left the industry or retired early just because of the pandemic. Are you finding yourself, are there staffing challenges, shortages that you're seeing and with your colleagues?
There are. We at the beginning of COVID, we knew we had to pare back the workforce, but what we did is we asked for volunteers before we came in and said to people, "You're gone." And actually, we had more volunteers than how deep we had to cut. So it worked out. That worked out really well as far as the HR portion of it. And now that we need agents back, we hired 3 agents, 2 who are totally new and oblivious to the industry, and another one who'd been in the business for 35 years as a leisure agent. So that's kind of a good mix. We're able to train the 2 to our liking and to our standards. And the third one, she's able to jump right in and start bookings and deal with the clients. Leisure requests right now are just through the roof.
Yeah, I would imagine.
it's opened up a lot of revenue opportunities because we're now able to charge the plan to go fee. It's non-refundable and it does not apply to the balance of the booking. And it really helps put the traveler, they got to put some skin in the game now before we start working on the trip.
Right.
And that fee, I think we're at $50 a person. But if they're traveling in less than 30 days, it sometimes doubles and triples and quadruples, because basically what that entails is I got to stop what I'm working on and move these people to the front of the line. So it's given us some room for revenue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to hear. And I'm sure that the two people new to the industry, they would probably be building up their skills on the product knowledge right away and understanding that. And I would expect that, the suppliers like the airlines and the hotels, they're running into shortages as well. Are you finding like calling vendors is taking longer?
Yes, and we're able to use those two newer employees. They're able to sit on hold for us instead of having the other than the three we just hired. Probably the average time that the agents have been in the business is over 20 years. I mean, we're all pretty well experienced, and so the ability to keep them off the phone and not productive while they're on hold, we can just say, hey, would you hold with Viking, or would you hold with Delta for me? And then they turn around and call back the agent when they get through and connect the call. To that point, another thing that travel leaders, they touched on it a little bit at Edge, and they just sent out a mass email yesterday again reiterating it. But Travel Leaders 24 is doing the same thing. They will stay on hold for you, and then depending on the severity of the call, either they'll rectify it, or if you need to speak directly to the vendor, they'll call you back and say the vendor's on the line now, and get you on the call if they need to. So I think that's a good temporary fix. It's certainly 2 weeks ago, it took us 16 hours of hold time to call in a final payment.
Wow.
I still haven't figured out why it would not accept it online, and I'm not sure why. I don't know the particulars of that, but it every time we tried to enter it online, it said, please call us. So we did, and it was 16 hours total time. So that was over 4 days just to get through. And thankfully, the agents started calling in advance and didn't call on the day it was due.
Right. Yes. That's good.
She started a week before, because that could have been very frustrating, because the way the computers are out there, it'll cancel it if it's not, if the payment's not there at midnight on the day it's due. Some of the vendors are canceling. So
yeah, well, that sounds like a nice service, though. If they, you can have that sort of offshore, I guess, if you will, on hold, and while your agents, stick, to what they do great, and making bookings and servicing. So that sounds awesome.
That's where we.
Yeah. And at the show, I'm hearing a lot of buzzwords like AI and machine learning, and as terms of topics. Was any of that sort of mentioned in any conversations?
There was a little of it that I heard. The thing with the AI is, so it can only give you a scripted response. So your AI that you're using is as good as your script. So depending on how minute you can dig down into the response, the AI's response, it's only as good. It's garbage in, garbage out. So if you give it good stuff to answer with, then I think you do well. If it gives back an answer that is totally off the wall or no sense, then it's not done its job for us.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And then in terms of all the topics and the conversations you had, so what would you say was sort of the most memorable, I guess? What was the sort of biggest takeaway from everything that you saw?
The biggest takeaway was probably what we started with, as far as being able to bring a lot of my scripting and macro writing and bringing all that in-house, and writing my own quality control rules that I can put in place right away. That'll be a time saver.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
For me and for the agents.
Yeah. Yeah. I would imagine for both. Yeah. And it probably gives you like more visibility too, if you can dig in and see what's going on there. You know, there's a visual of some sort interface that you can see what's happening. Yeah. And even do testing on your side, I suspect.
Yeah. And anything that helps, you know, basically a travel agency, we're a purveyor of knowledge, and the best way to get that knowledge out as fast as possible is good for us. Yeah. I've had clients call me and ask me for a report, and I've gone in and pulled up the report probably in 2 or 3 minutes, and I've said, I can't send this to them right away. They'll get used to, you know, having it right away. So I'll wait 10 or 15 minutes, or, you know, 20 or 30, and then I'll send it to them and say, you know, here you go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's, you know, the reporting tool we're using right now is really great, and I haven't been stumped yet on what somebody's asked for.
Good, great, excellent. And then I only one little question on the show. You know, what do you feel would have been most important? I'm sure the topics were, I'm guessing, the networking and just seeing everyone also equally important, probably.
That it's equally or even more important for me. I tend, when I'm working in the office, I tend to I do corporate agent work. Not much leisure. That takes me out of the workflow too long to do a very involved leisure trip. But the networking is almost more. I could probably do with less of the vendor workshops, although I do tend to go to the ones that are technology oriented, just so I can see what's going on. But a leisure workshop, I can skip those and I can go out and meet and talk with other people. This Edge meeting, I don't know if anybody's aware of it. It was 1 day less, last one. So we really had to pack a lot more quality time in there.
Right.
Yeah, the networking is very strong and high on my list.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. Peter, I think we'll give a chance for the audience to ask any questions. If you can check and see if any questions came in.
Sure. Let's give it a few minutes, see if any questions come in.
All right.
It looks like we have one here.
Okay.
There are a number of agencies using Travelport. Do you know of any that have migrated to Travelport Plus?
I do, and I'm in the same boat. So I have purposely put us towards the back of the list. But one thing I did while I was at Edge, I spent about 30 minutes talking with the woman who's in charge of migrating the agencies, and I explained to her my concerns on what I have. The biggest one was something that when we first talked to Worldspan about it, last fall, they were really very surprised to hear it. I said, you know, there's going to be a financial hit And I said, and it's not going to be from us, you know, but there's a fee for me to change, you know, and move every one of my Concur accounts, my mid office, my back office, you know, everybody in there, there's work on their part, and it's going to be expensive, and it's going to be close to $50,000. And I wanted to know who was going to pay that. They're still trying to figure that out. So until they figure it out, we'll still be on Worldspan, because they're not going to be able to pull the plug yet. And we're not the only agency in that boat. And it just befuddled me that they didn't think that they thought that there would be no costs involved.
Yeah.
So,
I know from our side that we actually have done one of our products. We've migrated to the Travel4 Plus from, I think that client was on Worldspan, not Apollo, but we did. I mean, just like any other sort of vendor that you know, catering and working with the GDS, we had to take care of it. We did do it, and it went relatively well. I'm sure there was some learnings, but we actually are working on a case study on that one. So hopefully we'll have that available in the next couple of weeks, and hopefully it'll be helpful for everyone to see. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to wait, not wait and see, but we just need to see how easily it goes, and and what problems arise. I told her what I was concerned about. Most of my agents, we use interactive world files, which you don't have to remember a lot. And apparently what they were demonstrating to me, first off, they told me that my interactive world files would migrate. So they have a third party vendor that will migrate our interactives. So that's good. But she said in Galileo, a lot of their profiles are interactive to begin with.
Okay.
So that's really good. So the first thing she said they'll do is they'll look and see what we're using for interactive, what kind of information we've stored, and then they only have to migrate the lines that aren't already interactive. So I was very pleased to hear that.
Yeah. I wasn't involved hands-on in this particular implementation, but I believe it was more or less, it was on their Grasp Cloud product, so it was a hosted, migrating from the Worldspan platform to installing SmartPoint and the print managers and that sort of thing. So, I think all vendors are going to have change their systems and adapt a little bit if they haven't already in order to make that happen. Yeah.
I know it was very smooth on Grasp Cloud, moving from IE to Edge. So, we use the remote desktop quite a bit, and that's also where our back office database is stored. So we're constantly using trams and client base on the remote desktop as well.
Yeah, great, good. Peter, any other questions coming in?
Yeah, we just have one last one, simple one. Have they set a date and location for the next Travel Leaders Edge conference?
They have, and I'll tell you a little. It made me scratch my head because I've been going to Edge for years, and I never knew this. But in your tote bag that you get, it's got the program for this year's Edge conference. And if you look on the very back is the logo for next year's. I did not know that. And when you look at it, it's very clear it is Nashville.
Okay.
We will be staying at the Gaylord in Nashville. And I believe, if you let me look here on my calendar real quick, I think it's in May. But let me get the dates. It is May 8th, that week.
All right.
So yeah, in Nashville at the Gaylord.
Okay. Any other questions, Peter?
We are all set. Thank you so much, guys.
Okay. Well, thank you, Michael, for taking the time. Really appreciate getting your insights and your feedback. So thanks again.
Not a problem. Glad to be part of it.
Yeah.
It was a fun meeting.
Yeah. And thanks everyone for joining. Have a great day.